Good morning, welcome back to the workshop. It is great to have you here, and in today's episode we are going to build a bird table. I hadn't quite realised that this is actually the first non-workshop build that I've done. So I've done the mobile storage cart, the office build, the temporary workbench, the surfaces that the tools are on at the moment, but I haven't actually done a thing that could be saleable. So this is the first thing that falls into that category, which is, I would say, a milestone for this channel. The first thing that other people can do is not specific to this workshop. I realised, actually, as I was building this, that the bandsaw would be much better positioned on a movable stand. I'm trying to make some space around it. I'm having to lower the mitre saw and move the pillar drill, where if it was on a mobile stand I could just pull it out. I've got all the space around it that I need. I think it's also slightly too high and could do with being a bit lower. But we start by cutting down the wall support, which is an 18mm rip from this timber. The timber that I'm using is just a fence post. It's a 90mm square fence post. It was 2.4 meters long. I cut it down to 1.2 meters, which gives me enough material to make one of the birdhouses, so I can get two from one length, which makes them about 8 pounds of material each. The plans for this will actually be in the description. I did a quick model on SketchUp, and you can download that, or you can put that on your version of SketchUp, whatever you've got. One thing that I've found with this particular project is that I didn't have a good plan. I didn't have a cut plan. I had a list of things that I needed to cut, but not necessarily the order to cut them in, or the most efficient use of timber, so I've got quite a bit of waste. And here I'm just cutting some 6mm roof tiles, roof panels. I do actually find out that the line on the bandsaw is slightly off from where it's supposed to be. So where this is supposed to be 6mm and it's lining up with 6mm, it actually cuts at about 8.2, so it's about 2mm off. The leftover of the board here should actually be about 6mm. It's almost a veneer. Here I'm just correcting the distance between the fence and the blade. This is the first of a few 30mm rips. Each of the square parts, so the uprights, the supports on the roof, are all 30mm square. From each of these 30mm square lengths, I will get one 30mm length and two 225mm lengths, making up part of the roof and part of the uprights. It's an unfortunate fact of life, but my eyesight is not what it used to be. And then it's once again back over to the trestle tables to cut down these 6mm roof panels to their final length. And there are a few of them. And now we'll take some of the 6mm rips and cut them to 30mm wide strips to act as the surround for the base around the table. And then the last few pieces, I'm cutting down a 50mm rip square, and that will act as the angled support between the back and the bottom of the table. further 30mm square lengths, and those would be the 150mm lengths that support the top of the roof. With all of the pieces cut, we now have to do 45-degree angles on the uprights, the roof, supports, and that's what we're going to do on the mitre saw. As everything is already cut to length, I just need to make the angle line up with the end of each piece, and then they should still be the correct length with the correct angle. There's no real reason to do this, but I thought I would add a little chamfer to the wall piece, make some spaghetti in the process with my block paint. So this is actually the first one of these that I've made, and the assembly of it wasn't as straightforward as it perhaps could have been. I should have used my right angle clamps, maybe, to try and get everything held in place rather than holding it with my fingers, because I'm very conscious that I'm probably going to shoot myself with a nail at some point and it's going to hurt, and I want to avoid that. somehow I forgot to cut the plywood base for the table. I also forgot to actually buy 6mm exterior grade plywood, so I've got 12mm instead. I did actually plan on having the surrounds, the 30mm by 6mm pieces that are around the edge, cover the face of the plywood, but because I forgot about the plywood completely, because it wasn't on my cut list, because my cut list was for all the rips on the bandsaw, I fixed the side pieces where they shouldn't be. This is why I need a plan. So now I'm just cutting the plywood square base out, and then I can fit that and carry on. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave a like or a comment. If you want to see more of what I'm doing, more of these kind of things, maybe something to do with the CNC or the 3D printer, please do subscribe. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.